Anita, you're the writer of these pieces. Excellent work. Can you tell us a bit about the difference between the two scripts and how you achieve the effects?
Well, I think the first script is quite often the style of scripting that you encounter in a corporate context, because there's a volume of material to put across, there's an agenda, there's learning objectives, and there's this feeling that you have to somehow put all of that into the text, because the text is a thing that the subject matter experts and the HR people review and sign off. There is a danger in the corporate environment that things do get quite wordy, and you kind of overlook the audience's ability to read pictures and read what an actor can bring to a script through silent reaction shots, through shifts in body language and pace, which give you a whole sort of other dimension into how these characters are communicating and how they're feeling. So in terms of the difference between the script, the second script deliberately allows more space for that. Also, there's Lynn, your character, is definitely leading and extracting information rather than Aaron's character just delivering it, which is what we have in the first script. So that was my slant on the two.
So would you say that if it's just, you said, if it's all just written on the surface, what are you actually doing?
Well, the script, which was mostly exposition, was quite wordy, a lot more difficult to deliver than the other script, which was just more sort of emotional, I guess. It flowed a lot better.
I'd sort of maybe use the analogy of it being like colour by numbers in that situation. You just sort of join the dots together.
Maybe you can make an analogy, Anita, you kind of like making something that they can colour in, is that, well, you know, put more of themselves into, is that what you're trying to do? Leave holes that the actors can perform into, if you like.
That is one way of looking at it, and the other is just to be really ruthless about the characters and the setup. If two characters are having a conversation and they have a shared understanding of each other, their personal histories and backgrounds, and a shared understanding of their context, they don't talk about that. That's just given. Any kind of exposition that's really obvious introductions of, well, my wife and my chinchillas think this, or you just put a red line through it immediately, because that stuff that you're telling the audience, it really clearly is, because those characters wouldn't tell each other.
Because they already know.
Yeah.
And what about the character descriptions? You wrote such lines as, Frank is a happy underachiever who lives with his girlfriend and some chinchillas, and Lynn is warm but slightly spiky. She feels estranged from her eldest boy, and Frank is a substitute. How did those things work for you guys?
It was always really helpful to get such a level of background information, and quite unusual to get that as well, to be honest. I mean, it's great to have that as a building block for the character.
They're interesting ones because they're quirky, which means, you know, it also gives you a real starting place, better than saying is stocky and fair-haired. It could mean anything, but when you've got something like that's usually when you sometimes get those. You know, that's it.
Sometimes that's all you get.
A physical description. But when you've got those little idiosyncrasies, like the chinchillas and things, it gives you. It starts your imagination going.
I think that's important with a corporate clip, because you're going in, you're meeting these characters usually pretty cold. You've got to get to know them very quickly in a 2-minute clip. If we were writing a feature film, you wouldn't bother with a character description because it would be contained within the span of the film. But I need to help the actors. I also need to help the crew, because these things inform styling, setup, how you light it, environment, all of those things.
One last thing I'd like to pick up on, and that's just, I thought, I kind of skated across the fact that you said it was easier to learn the more dramatic script, the less expositional script. Why do you think that is?
Because you're not thinking as much, but you are thinking, but you know what I mean, you're not, it's different parts of your brain is at work, because you know the arc of it, because you've learnt it. and then you know where you start with your starting point, the middle point and the end point. And it's not just words, because you're feeling the emotion of that arc, rather than I'm going from, I need to make sure that I'm going to say all these things. It's, you know, the more you say, the more foggy I think it becomes. I think, especially when you're filming.
And that, of course, makes it more engaging for the viewer, because it's about the emotion, it's about what's on your face, it's about the interaction.
Yeah,
and,
you've got more time to interact with each other than just hope that both of you get the words out.
Yeah.
People think that high drama needs to be about conflict, two characters sort of running nose to nose. Sometimes it isn't about that. I think sometimes it is about negotiation and one character drawing another out, or another character going on a journey when they realise something. So something that happens a lot with corporate scripts is people say, we want to show best practice. And that often translates as all the problems solved, everyone in agreement. But it doesn't have to be that. You can still have good practice where you're resolving and discovering. So that's what I try to build in, to give it that dramatic arc that you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks very much, everyone. It's really informative. Cheers.
Cheers.
I learned something.